Congressman, can you get behind an Oprah Winfrey candidacy? Come on. Let's get out 2 years from now. Is it going to be Trump, Winfrey? I've never said that phrase.
No, I don't think so. And I'll tell you what, I chaired the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, guided them through a pretty rough midterm. This midterm has as much energy as we saw in 2010 when the Republicans took 63 seats, 2006 when the Democrats got the majority with 31 seats. But midterms do kind of, to your point, Tom, they do establish the tone and tenor of the presidential election coming up. That what will happen tonight is that Democrats will win the majority by expanding into purple districts, expanding into what David Wasserman calls cracker barrel districts. You've got Creighton barrel districts and cracker barrel districts. The growth for the Democratic Party in Washington will be in the middle, moderate districts, and I think that sets the tone for the 2020 presidential.
I'm not going to ask if there's a cracker barrel in Steve Israel's former district. Steve Israel, what I'd like to know, seriously, you went to the Aldamato School of Long Island Politics, which is tough, grinded out neighborhood politics. Are the fancy progressives of your party, are they done with what we've seen in the last 24 months?
Look, my party needs both, quite honestly. The path to the majority in the House of Representatives, and in my view, the path to national success, requires that you marry those progressives with those moderates. You know, there's this place called Brooklyn, New York. In Brooklyn, New York, you've got progressive candidates. But, hey, Tom, there's also a place called Brooklyn, Iowa. That's in a competitive district right now. The Democrats may flip that district. For Democrats to win, you've got to be able to win in Brooklyn, Iowa, and Brooklyn, New York. That's the recipe for success for my party.
Let's go to the encyclopedia, Kevin Cerillion, that you nodded when they mentioned Brooklyn, Iowa. What are you watching, Kevin? I'm watching the northeast corner of Iowa, really contentious. What are you watching in greater Des Moines?
Well, I think in Des Moines, I think this is literally all going to come down to the agriculture sector, because, again, we talk about this, but Democrats who are in these more rural districts are looking at the president's trade policies, and I don't see much. I don't see much difference between what they're saying on the issue of tariffs and what the president is saying on tariffs, and that is something that I truly think the Democratic Party missed in the 2016 election in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, parts of Iowa. Senator Sherrod Brown, look at his public comments. He's going to win tonight, likely in Ohio. He'd be a stunning upset if he loses. But his comments on tariffs and trade and Senator Elizabeth Warren's are line in line with President Trump's.
Congressman Israel, let us look at the polling booth in the Brooklyn Public Library. It's one of the shots we have here. We'll have much more as the polls open across the nation. But, you know, I make a joke about it, Steve Israel, but it's vote early, vote often. And yet the President of the United States and the Attorney General in the last 24 hours have alluded to voter fraud. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, do we need a president out talking about fraud before the actual election occurs?
Well, you know, you said before, I'm a Long Islander. I understand raw-knuckle politics. What they're doing is they are casting doubt on the results of this election. They've accepted that the House of Representatives is going to flip. And unlike President Obama, who said when it flipped to the Republicans, we got shellacked, this president finds somebody to blame and somebody to vilify. That's the card that he's playing.
Steve Israel, what should Speaker Pelosi do? She's going to have an eventful 24 hours, and then there will be pressures, whatever the outcome is, on the Speaker. Does she need one more 2-year victory lap?
Well, I think that the Democratic caucus needs another 2 years, and here's why. And full disclosure, I sat with her over 3 cycles, sat in that room with her just before an election, just after an election. She's cognizant of the need for a new generation. The question is, how do you shape that generation? If the Democrats win the midterm, and I think they're going to win with maybe anywhere from 31 to 38 seats, it's largely going to be because of her energy, her fundraising, her ability to recruit candidates. And what I think she'll focus on in the next 2 years is beginning to cultivate that next generation. That can't happen overnight. It's going to take a cycle, I believe, and I think she's prepared to show that leadership.
Steve Israel, your Long Island has demographic changes. Tell me where Long Island's going to be in 10 years. What is going to be the mix, the population of Long Island?
Yeah, I mean, Long Island is, America's first suburb, Tom. It's a quintessential suburb, Levittown, New York, a GI Bill. I'm a product of that. Long Island is becoming it continues to be fairly moderate. You do have new American citizens and immigrants moving into Long Island. It's becoming a more diverse population. Long Island is a bellwether region. I mean, we've got 4 congressional districts, 2 Republican, 2 Democrats, and I think that those trends will continue. Tonight, I don't think that the Republicans are going to lose seats on Long Island. I don't think the Democrats will gain seats, despite the fact that it's going to be a good year, a good midterm for Democrats throughout the rest of the country.